Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus channel. The miracle of flight is one of the greatest achievements in the history of humankind. However, ask any pilot, and they'll tell you flight is practically useless without the ability to land. Over the past century, billions of dollars and millions of man-hours have gone into designing better, stronger, safer types of landing gears. This includes new systems that are more resilient to shock, as well as powerful new tires that are taller than the average human. However, the most important process that the landing gear system undergoes is properly maintaining and repairing parts when necessary. This is true across military, commercial, and recreational aircraft designs. The former is largely handled by the 533rd Commodities Maintenance Squadron at Ogden Air Force Base. The men and women at this facility are specifically responsible for overhauling and maintaining landing gear, wheels, and brakes for all United States Air Force aircraft. In order to better prepare maintenance technicians for working new or complex landing gear systems, various militaries have come up with highly specialized training initiatives, such as this one for the F-35. This unique machine accurately mimics the internal and external operation of the F-35's landing gear, but without having to use an actual aircraft during the process. As a result, maintainers can familiarize themselves with the system and gain the technical and practical knowledge they need to begin working immediately in the field. With this system in place, air bases can avoid taking an aircraft out of commission for 2 or more days and reduce the chances of any component being damaged. It also allows maintainers to isolate components, ensuring a better overall training experience. Recently, both private and military companies have invested in technology that they claim will help them mitigate landing gear failures in the future. One particularly stark example is magnetron sputtering. This high-rate vacuum coating technology allows for the deposition of many types of materials on surfaces using a specially formed magnetic field. The idea is that this technique can be applied to aircraft landing gear cylinders to make them like new again. Regardless of how worn a particular cylinder is, the addition of a sputtering probe can place an aluminum coating onto the inside of the cylinder until it reaches previous pre-worn dimensions. Since the Air Force often has to wait for replacement parts to be produced and shipped, such a process would have immense potential. Rather than grounding aircraft for weeks or months, the military could, theoretically, have them back in the air in a matter of days. The technology has similar applications for commercial airline companies, which are always searching for new ways to reduce costs. There are many factors that can cause potential issues during a landing. Though mechanical failure or lack of maintenance is a concern, so are weather, wind, and surface conditions. After all, there are many scenarios where an aircraft would be called upon to perform an austere landing. This could be done at a landing strip with minimal facilities, a poorly paved road, or even a sheet of ice. Each of these surfaces poses a unique challenge for pilots and machines. Ice and snow landings are particularly hazardous. This is not only because the runways, assuming there is one at all, can be particularly slippery, but because the surface can unexpectedly give way underneath the weight of an aircraft. This hasn't stopped both airlines and military aircraft from having to make deliveries to places like Antarctica. Due to the number of research installations located on the continent and a growing tourism industry, flights to this frozen region are becoming more and more common. Still, landing in Antarctica is far from routine. Flight crews must closely monitor the weather and conditions on the ground, both of which can change quickly and endanger the approach. Landings here are typically done atop packed snow, which is generally safer than cleared cement, as the latter can suffer from coatings of barely visible ice. Other major risks to successful landings include what are known as crosswinds. This is when the wind moves perpendicular to the aircraft coming in for the landing. As one might expect, it can drastically affect the aerodynamics of the plane, pushing the entire aircraft to one side or interfering with the coordinated movement of the tail and nose. French aircraft manufacturer Airbus has invested a lot of time and technology into making their planes particularly effective in crosswind conditions. In order to be approved for operation, Airbus must demonstrate that no particular skill is required to perform such a landing. These are typically accomplished with the aircraft approaching wings level and with a slightly offset heading. Then, the aircraft's nose is realigned with the runway at the last possible second to allow for a relatively normal landing. Of all the potential hazards an aircraft has to deal with, water is one of the most significant. This is not only because rain is often accompanied by wind and low visibility, but because it's possible for water to enter the jet intake. And, under the right circumstances, cause the engine to fail. Again, companies like Airbus have invested significant resources to ensure their planes are not subject to such failures. This included a test in which several pools were set up on a runway. An aircraft then traveled over these pools at different speeds, with engineers measuring how much water, if any, was directed into the engines. Mother Nature has many ways of interfering with safe flights, and they go far beyond just weather and water. Indeed, it's estimated that aircraft suffer around $1.2 billion in damages worldwide due to birds striking the aircraft or being sucked into the engine intake.
Curve it through the back. I'm all right, I'm okay.
This expensive and incredibly dangerous problem has led to a number of innovative solutions, all of which have had varying degrees of success. Engines are not the only part of the aircraft susceptible to damage during a bird strike incident. The windscreen can also be damaged or even broken during a high-speed collision. This can put the pilot and crew's life at risk. In the interest of preventing such situations, companies like VZLU are developing special high-tech canopies capable of better withstanding these collisions. Using a high-powered cannon loaded with a variety of natural and synthetic materials, engineers repeatedly shot directly at the windshield, which stood up to the punishment quite well. Certain airports and air bases are subject to increased risk of bird strikes due to their natural surroundings. A good example of this is JBSA Randolph, outside of San Antonio, Texas. The area's nickname is Tree City, USA, and all those trees mean an increased number of nesting birds. To keep the area around the base as free of birds as possible, the military has employed a team from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. These men and women combine both passive and active methods to remove birds from the area before flights. This includes driving around with speakers blaring the sounds of predatory birds and firing banger guns and cannons. Bird strikes have happened at this base before. One T-38 needed over $250,000 in repairs after one such incident. Another incident featured nearly 50 birds crashing into the windscreen. The next step in the bird strike prevention project is to cut down trees in the area so that they are less attractive places to roost. These prevention methods have been repeated at other military locations. Such efforts are increased during migration periods when the number of birds grows. Other bases are investing in high-tech bird cannons to help drive wildlife away. Regardless of the premise, the responsible personnel are always on the lookout for threats to an aircraft as they approach or leave the ground. Though the flight itself might seem like the most dangerous part of a mission, takeoff and landing will always pose the biggest threats to aviation safety. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.